A new year has arrived and the podcast On Purpose for a Purpose returns. If you need a little more motivation to pursue your purpose, then listen in as I speak on how in a world of many imitators and impersonators, there can only be one you. How do we stay focused on our true self and our reason as we enter this brand new season? The first chapter of 2024 begins now. Hello and welcome to Coleman on Purpose. This is David J. Coleman and happy 2024 to all of y'all out there. It is time to start up a new chapter and I'm really excited to start this one out at the beginning of this beautiful year, which I have begun this year with a church fast. So the church I'm attending started a fast on January 1st. And if you do not know what a fast is, it is when you take away something that is of, value to you or that you do a lot of. Maybe it could be eating, it could be watching TV, listening to music, it could be anything. And so you take it away so you have that moment to really hear what God is saying to you this year. It's really a time to get in tune with God. And I love that. I have not fasted in almost like 14 or 15 years. So this is new to me again. It's like a brand new thing, but it feels good, if you know what I mean. And so as I was just in these first few days, I was like, well, I still want to do my podcast. I'm going to still get on here and do my thing because I have a beautiful chapter to talk to you about today. But I wanted to make sure that when I came back doing this podcast that I remembered my purpose for doing this. That's why it's called Coleman on Purpose, because it's the podcast on purpose for a purpose. And I wanted to get back to refresh my podcast. And I'm going to probably be saying that word a lot because refresh is my word of 2024. And I really want to make sure that I stick with what the original intention was, and that was to come and be real raw, talk about the things that are really on my heart, and make sure that I'm connecting with others that may be in the same place as me or that might not even know or know somebody that is just like what I'm talking about. So I wanted to make sure I stayed with that. So this chapter that I'm getting ready to start, it's going to be a little bit on my motivational stride a little bit, giving you a little bit of motivation going into the new year, but it is called Not Another You. And it came from me listening to a song, and it was a song from Miss Nicki Minaj, who had a Pink Friday 2 album that came out at the end of the year. I was kind of looking forward to it. Yeah, I listen to some rap, here and there, and I really enjoy a lot of her rap music. And she's not for everybody, but I do enjoy some of her songs and some of the things that she incorporates in her music. And this particular song was called Just the Memories. And it was basically saying memories don't leave like people do. They'll always remember you. There's never been another you. And I don't know if it was live or leave. It's one of those. They, Genius and all of these other lyric things that come out, they don't know what the real lyrics are. But it's one of the two, but it still means the same thing, basically, to me. Either live or leave will both mean the same thing to me, because it's basically saying that there is not another person in this world just like you. There's not ever going to be another person that's just like you. You are uniquely created. That's why my slogan at the end, unique, loved, created for greatness. You are. It's the truth. You are unique. I think about a song back in kindergarten that we used to sing all the time. Look all the world over, there's no one like you. No one like you. Yes, no one like you. Look all the world over, there's no one like you. There's no one exactly like you. We didn't do it that deep. It was like, look all the world over, there's no one like me. No one like me. No one like you. Look all the world over, there's no one like me. There's no one exactly like me. That's how it was. It wasn't you. It was look all the world over, there's no one like me. And it still rings in my mind today. When I think about that song, I'm like, wow, they were really instilling that every single person in this world has a uniqueness of them. They're individual, from their mannerisms to the way they communicate to the way they actually say things. I happen to be a person that's very animated, and I am animated a lot of times in front of a camera. And sometimes I'm animated around people that I really know very well. And anyone can tell you that. But I do have my low key moments as well. So you get a dose of both. I found myself being a lot more low key in this day and age, and I don't quite like it a lot because I always promised myself that I would not allow myself to be, drudging around in my adulthood. I wanted to make sure I stayed very active and up there, but I do realize there's certain things and certain transitions that I need in my life. So even though I'm still not like anybody else in this world, there are things that I still believe bring my individuality out when I'm more animated, and that's who I am. I still believe you should not change who you are because your specific way of being is something that the world actually needs. And a lot of people don't realize it a lot of times. Just like an athlete, let's take athletes for example. We have athletes like Michael Jordan. I mean, when you think about athletics and all that in games, people don't really take that seriously, but a lot of people train for that their whole lives. And you think about people like Michael Jordan who are out here hooping it up, and then you have somebody else that comes along that's like a LeBron, and you're like, you are trying to compare him and be like, this is the next Michael Jordan. No, it's the next LeBron, because there's not going to be another Michael Jordan. There's not going to be another LeBron. Those are specifically people that were needed in those spaces at that specific time. So there are specific assignments that Michael Jordan was placed in the NBA to fulfill and to accomplish that no one else can. And there were certain things that LeBron had to come into the league to establish while he's in it. He's there for a reason. And so when I start thinking about even the rap, like I was just talking about Nicki, when she came in, we were trying to say she was like this rapper over here, that rapper. No, she has opened some doors for rap to be known on a more international level, and even rap to be pop type music. It's different. And so when you start to think about how mainstream female rap is now, it is a lot because of her. And so when you think about those different things, she was placed in that rap field to do that. There are assignments that each person is supposed to be in this earth for. And it's up to you to try to search that out and to find that and to go on your journey to discover what that is. But I do believe that is what it is. And so I try to find ways that I can center in on the things that people sometimes will either say, oh, wow, you're really good at that, or oh, wow, nobody really does that quite like you. And a lot of times we're so busy trying to compete with another person or something else that we see that we aren't realizing what's actually occurring, that we're not actually being ourselves. We're trying to be like someone else. But no one can do what David J. Coleman can do. No one can do with any other people that I know can do. They were there for that specific reason. So don't try to jack somebody else's thing thinking you can do it, because you're still not going to be able to do it even when you try to imitate what that's being done. And so that's one of the things that we really get twisted sometimes because we're so busy. And that's kind of what I dealt with a lot of times when I started to think about like my love for acting and different things that I wanted to do back in the day, just in the acting field. And as I grew, I wanted to express that. So I started to do the little skits and stuff like that on Instagram. And I did quite a few of them for quite a while. And then I started to see other people start doing them, or similar things that I had thought of or things that I had done being done. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I just need to switch it up and try to reinvent the wheel or reinvent what I do. That's kind of what you have to do kind of in the arts and entertainment field. You have to kind of reinvent something. That's what happens in music. You have to kind of reinvent old songs sometimes, but sometimes something fresh will really come out. And sometimes I've had a really fresh idea that still no one has done or anything like that. But a lot of times it really takes you getting in your head and taking all those other side things out, that yes, I am my own individual. You have to remember who you are. And a lot of times you're so busy worrying about what everybody else is doing, you're forgetting who you are. Or even if they did that one thing before, if you redo it or mix it up some type of way, who knows what can happen. But a lot of times we run into the problems with copyright infringement, or when money starts getting involved, things get a little funny. So people are like, oh no, that's my idea. And it just blocks sometimes the uniqueness of a person or the unique things that someone can bring to the table. Just like when someone acts out a scene and then they do a remake of it and somebody does a better job with the remake than with the original, or the original stands the test of time because that person didn't bring their own flair to it. That's why when a singer sings something, make that song your own. That's why they're always saying that, because it's your own take on it. Don't try to sing it like the other person. Have your own take on it, and then people are going to like it a lot more. So I think about all of those, some of those things sometimes, and I'm really, I ponder on it, and I'm like, so a lot of people are taking advantage of what is inside of you, or trying to change what you actually bring to the table, because they might see something that is similar to what they are, but they don't realize that they have their own individuality as well. So a lot of times people are intimidated by what you actually bring to the table because they don't see how they're different than you. They have to find that out for themselves. I've had to do that a lot of times with some people that have either sung or done different things in the arts field. I've had to be like, you know what? I have another individuality separate from what they have. And I don't have to linger on that and feel like I have to do exactly what they're doing, because I know that I can bring my own unique take to this. And so those are the things that you have to kind of center your mind on. I think when anybody comes into these either, fields of trying to really find themselves, they really have to remember the strength and the power that they hold inside of them individually, outside of everybody else. That's why it's so important to realize your creation. You're a creation, and you were created for that one purpose, or that thing, or those many purposes. It could be many purposes that you're here for as well. So I want to get to this really quickly because I started to think about my job, or I have found I have been in a lot of fields that have dealt with hospitality, from being a manager to customer care to now I was a waiter before, substitute teacher, a lot of help fields a lot of times. And I've been complimented many times when I'm on a plane or something. Somebody put me like, oh yeah, you'd be good. And oh, do you want to work? No, I'm good where I'm at. But they'll be like, oh, you're this is the job for you, and da da da. And those are the things I try to pull sometimes from those things, because that lets you know that you are good at that. And if you can just do it like that off the top of your hands, like that's how you know you were made to do that. But I have been in fields like that all of my life. So sometimes when you're doing it, it becomes second nature, and then you're doing it for a career, and then you're being drained out, or you're feeling burnt out from it. You kind of lose interest from what your gift actually is. I'll give you an example. I just joined a church, and I joined a like greeters team. I'm standing there, I'm like, oh my gosh, I do this at my regular job every day. I'm greeting people all the time on this plane. And this is what I do every single day. So how is this helping? How is this? No. I am good at what I do. And I mean, I don't take it lightly either. There are things that, everybody's not all friendly all the time. Everybody doesn't smile all the time. Everybody's not warm and hospitable. There's some people that aren't. And that's just how you were made. That's okay. But there's some people that do have an advantage to that sometimes, and they're made for it. And so even though I might be like, what am I contributing? No, I am. You are contributing something to the world that people actually need. People do need highs, even though we want to walk by everybody sometimes and say, don't want to say anything to people, or you just be like, oh, I'm not saying hi to you, or we want to have our headphones on or be stuck in our phones. There are those people that need a high or something like that. So I really look at that as that's a specialty as well. Not everybody is like that. So there are people that are in the catering business because they're hospitable. They can do things that nobody else can do. And so you have to get comfortable in your own like niche or whatever you want. But those are important things to recognize, the little things that people say, oh, you're good at that, or you just have that. That's second nature for you. You can go ahead and take that and be like, okay, maybe that's something I need to like venture into a little bit more, because that's a specialty that I can contribute to the world around me. So I think about all that all the time, but I'm trying not to be in that place where I get really burnt out from things. Just like with when I acted and all of these things, I still want to create. Like that's my passion. I love to be like drama and all that. That's like I close my eyes when I think about it, because it's my passion. Like that's what I love. I could just create all day. And that's what I want to do, but sometimes it's just like there's so many people out here doing the same thing, or there's just so many, people that might be, you might think are better than you, but that's where you look inside of yourself and be like, no, there is no one else like me, and no one else can present what I'm getting ready to present, or no one else can act the way I can, or no one else can sing the way I can, or dance the way I can. Nobody can, because you are you, and everybody loves that unique thing about you. So I wanted to throw that out there. So after finding ways to reinvent my gift a lot of times, because the entertainment world is so saturated, I had to appreciate inside of me who I was and what God given blessings were given to me, so I can be present in this time and love myself the most. I think when we really realize everything that we've been given and the blessings that we have inside of us, it helps us to have that self love that we need, to appreciate ourselves, to know that what we bring into a room, or what we bring into a circle, or anywhere we are, anywhere of influence, or anywhere of just where we belong, we bring something to that whole table. And that's why it's important to remember that and love yourself along with that. That's how you establish that love for yourself. And if you ever become blinded by comparison or lack of self-esteem, replace those negative thoughts with positive thoughts, or try your best to replace those. I was listening to a Christmas special with Brandy and her daughter. I don't want to jack up her name. I think it's Sarah, but her daughter and her were on a Christmas show, and there was like this rapid fire question thing, and she said, what's one thing that you remember that your mother has taught you? And she said, not to think about a negative thought for more than 17 seconds. Do you know how hard that is? Like, negative thoughts are always going to try to come, or be in your mind, but do you know how hard it is to not labor on it? Sometimes you have to try your best to either block it out or replace it with a positive thought. So if something says like, "Oh my gosh, I don't look my best. Like I don't feel like I feel like I'm ugly or something," or you feel something that's inside of you, say, "No, no, no. Somebody else told me that I was pretty the other day," or look at yourself in the mirror and say, nobody else has this grade of hair. I can't really talk because I ain't got no hair, but nobody else has this kind of grade of hair as me. And you can think about some of those unique things, and you can pull that you're just breathing. Some people don't even have breath, so it's all those little things that we really don't take into account. And I don't believe that there is anything as being too positive about yourself so that you can love on yourself. There is no such thing. You can still have that. And that's why when I heard that, I latched onto it. I was like, let me start to try to practice that. Let me put that into action, because that is really, really good. That's a way to retrain that mind and get it thinking differently than what it is when those negative thoughts try to come on it. So that's just a little bit of tidbit that I got that I wanted to give to y'all, just in case y'all didn't see it. So the last things I'm going to say today is, I can tell when I am putting or investing time in myself that I am doing what I'm supposed to do, because then I will be much more organized. More people will start to come around me. I will start to see things that no one else can see that I can impart into the world. And that's only when I invest in myself. I spent a lot of time in my life being a giver. I had a chapter from the first season called "The Takers and the Givers," and I talked about that a little bit. I gave of myself and gave, and then when I was a little bit selfish, things kind of began to like fall apart a little bit, and I felt bad, and I went back into the thing where I got to give, give, give. But now it is really time to still receive. As much as you give, you still need to receive every once in a while. You don't depend on receiving, but it is nice to have some reception every once in a while. You don't depend on it, though. Let me put that out there. We're not depending on getting something back from someone, but it is nice to have that every once in a while if you are the type of person that is always, always, always giving, 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 giving. So it is very nice to have that once in a while. And I can say that I'm in a place where I'm not looking for it, but when it does happen, I am learning to appreciate it, because sometimes even when we say we want it, we don't always receive it. We give it right back out. And I learned that just recently. I'll go into that story maybe another day, but I learned that just recently, that sometimes we just need to receive it and call it a day. And that's very important. So I close out with saying, I now recognize the imperfections, but I know that I was created by a God who sees every beautiful thing about his creation and has instilled his greatness within me. And part of my fulfillment comes from sharing that with the world we live in today. I had to write that down because that was something that I got at the very end of this. And I just wanted to tell that to everybody, because you have to know that in this world, nobody else is going to do what you do, be who you are, or give to the world what you can give. And you must recognize that before you even try to search for purpose. That has to be recognized, that so you're not intimidated, so you don't fall off, so you don't feel inferior. You got to know that what you bring to the table is different than anything anyone else has in this world. Me, as David J. Coleman, nobody else can do what I do or give what I give to the world but me. Rest in that and know that that's what you are. So thank you for joining me for this chapter of Coleman on Purpose. Make sure you are following me. First, I'm going to shout out my Coleman on Purpose pages. Go to Instagram or to TikTok and go to Coleman on Purpose and type that in, and you will find the Coleman on Purpose page. Second, come to my personal pages. David J. Coleman on TikTok, David J with a dot, Coleman. I think you can find it on Deluxe Dave as well. And also on Instagram at Deluxe Dave. You can find it right there. I really thank you for joining me for this chapter. I appreciate you all. Please do remember that you are unique. You are so loved, and you are created for greatness. Have a wonderful start to this new year. I will holla at y'all later.